tell our viewers a little bit more about the thinking that went into locals and
Sure.
And why it's, I mean, when I heard it, I thought, oh my God, that is a perfect fit. But I'd like to hear it through your words because I don't know if I understand it completely. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, your intro was quite good, actually, because bringing up your 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and that it's not only that you don't know who they are, you have no ability to get a message out to those people. So, when we all got on YouTube, everyone thought, oh, if someone subscribes to your channel and they tap that notification bell, the implication is that you're going to see those videos, that creator's videos, in your feed. That's what we all thought. I think that's what most people actually think to this day. Well, that's just not how it works. We know that through algorithmic tricks and for whatever reason, I'm not even implying that they're all nefarious, YouTube does not send out all of your videos to your subscribers. We know that often if they don't like your political opinion, they can actually put recommended videos that could completely sway your opinion or send you down some other rabbit hole. As I always say, when it comes to big tech, it's not the things that we know that I'm worried about, that we know they're doing to us. It's the things that we don't know. So a couple of years ago, it was actually just less than 3 years ago, I sort of had the idea that, well, if I was going to be truly independent, really independent from these platforms, what would I need? And I would need, I would need a subscription service. So, I would need my audience to be able to fund my program. So I would be free of outside influence in terms of the political and cultural things that I was talking about. So we built a subscription model. Then we thought, all right, well, we need a great video player. Let's build that. We need a great audio player. Let's build that. Let's make sure that I have direct communication with my audience. So we have, at first we started with live text chat, but now we have live video streaming from your phone or your desktop. Then we thought, well, we want to make sure that you as the creator own the user data so that if someone subscribes to me, and let's say I get kicked off YouTube, well, I have a way of communicating with them. So we have great push notifications that go out to people so that you may remember, Ezra, at the end of July, I was kicked off Twitter for saying that vaccine mandates were coming. Well, I wasn't completely incapacitated because I was still able to communicate with my locals community. So I was live streaming a minute later, able to get my message out to people. Then they could share it on their social media channels. And then we got there to be enough public pressure that Twitter not only brought me back, but they said it was an error that I was banned in the first place. So I think we had most of the pieces lined up properly for a partnership like we're now doing with Rumble to come into place. And I'll add one other thing, which you described Rumble as sort of a YouTube alternative video site. It's actually much more than that. What they have done there, and Chris, who's the CEO of Rumble, who's a great guy, and he's been working on this for over a decade, they have truly built infrastructure. I mean, servers and all of the infrastructure needed to host all sorts of websites. So, the big one, of course, was when Parler got blown up after January 6th, Amazon just pulled the plug. And that's no way to run a business, knowing that the people that you're renting space from, so to speak, can just take you out at any moment. So Rumble has not only a great video service that we're working on fixing some of the interface and all that kind of stuff, but they really have the underbelly of the internet stuff to make sure that big tech can't just blow up the Rebels website or my website or anyone else. So I think this is a really important week in the fight back against big tech.
I'm really glad to hear that. And, I like Rumble in that they're taking steps not just to be our, quote, right-wing alternative. They've signed up quality programmers like Glenn Greenwald, who's an iconic man of the free speech left, Tulsi Gabbard, the Hawaiian Democrat who ran for president. These are not right-wing voices, but they're voices that believe in free speech. I'm really excited about that. Tell me what it means that that locals and Rumble are merging or acquiring. I don't know what the term is, but what will it mean for people on either system? What will it mean for folks who follow videos on Rumble now? What will it mean for folks who use locals right now?
Yeah, great. So in essence, it's a merger acquisition. So I have sold the company Locals to Rumble, so they fully own it. I do not own Locals anymore. However, myself and my partner Asaf, who really was the brainchild behind this and the architect, we're staying on as part of the team so that I'll be doing this sort of thing, public talking about our ideas and our policies and things of that nature, PR in essence, and helping guide some of the policy. Asaf will continue to run Locals. So you can think of it sort of how although this sounds a bit nefarious, I suppose, how Facebook owns Instagram, but they're still separate brands and separate companies, but they obviously share infrastructure, human resources, things like that. So Rumble, which is really well funded, it now adds a tremendous amount of resources for us. But in terms of the user side of things, well, Locals will be the official subscription provider for all Rumble creators. So if you're a Rumble creator,
that's huge.
Yeah, so that's huge because that allows us to scale, right? That's the key piece for us in this is how do we scale, not just bring on a few creators every day, or if I know somebody, bring them on board. This is if you are a Rumble creator, you will be officially connected to Locals so that can be the real financial engine for your show. Then we have a lot of other things that we're sort of putting the pieces together with right now. So for example, when I do my show, which now we live stream every day on Rumble, right now I allow for chat in my Locals community. So there's no bots. There's no trolls. There's no angry people. This is good, enlightened, interesting, honest discussion that happens during my live stream. We're going to start bringing that on board the Rumble platform as well. So it'll be your paid subscribers who will be chatting. So not only is that an engine of revenue for a creator like you guys, but it also allows us to have a much more decent conversation online. One of the reasons that the online conversation sounds so terrible is because people have 20 burner Twitter accounts to harass people all day long. I'm not saying they can't have it, but we want to create something better. So you're going to see a lot of ways that we tie these bonds. And, the other part, Ezra, and you know this, is that in 20 years of, 20 years ago, it was MySpace, or just the beginnings of MySpace, the beginnings of social media. We didn't know what we were all signing up for. We had no idea. You're friends with your grandma on there. Next thing you know, you see a picture of Trump and a terrorist attack and a baby, and you're having crazy emotions. None of it makes sense. Why is your grandmother and your, friend that you just reconnected with from 5th grade, why are they on the same page arguing about politics? It doesn't make sense. But now it's 20 years later, and we can assess that and say, well, what would a better internet look like? What would a better social media ecosystem look like? So look, we're going to build communities, but we're also going to build the underbelly of the internet. This is going to come along with payment processors and a whole bunch more. I can't say everything at once.
Dave, what you just said there at the end is so important because, of course, you can find a replacement video server. Like we were suspended for a week from YouTube, and it really shook us to the core. We thought, okay, we're back on YouTube, but we better find plan B, C, and D. And when PayPal gave us the boot on a Friday night at 6 p.m. Eastern in an unsigned email, no explanation, no warning, no appeal, I thought, oh my God, that is the next step of deplatforming, and we need plan B, C, and D there. If you guys at Rumble and Locals can find a payment solution, because that's the scary part. When they ban people from even having the ability to earn a living, that kind of deplatforming is so horrific in terms of the wreckage it can do to ordinary people. That's the most interesting thing you said here. I'm excited about it.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. I remember when that happened to you guys, and 100% crystal clear, we are working on it. There will be solutions. We should not be beholden only to PayPal, Stripe, and a couple banks.
That's an excerpt from my daily show, The Ezra Levant Show. Every day I do a monologue on the news of the day, then I interview an interesting guest, and then I read my hate mail. You gotta subscribe. Go to rebelnews.com.